Welcome to this lecture on research strategies and methods in design science. This session explores how different research strategies and methods are used to investigate problems, generate knowledge, and support scientific inquiry. Design science is not itself a research strategy or a research method, but it relies on both to conduct systematic investigations. The purpose of research is to create reliable and useful knowledge based on empirical evidence and logical reasoning. For research to be credible, findings must be clearly presented so that other researchers can review and evaluate them against the standards of academic research. To help researchers structure, validate, and communicate their results, many scientific communities have established various research strategies and methods. These approaches guide the collection, analysis, and interpretation of data to ensure rigorous and meaningful conclusions. This lecture provides an overview of well-established research strategies and methods, particularly within the social sciences. These approaches are also highly relevant in design science research, where they assist in investigating practical problems, defining requirements, and evaluating artifacts. This lecture is structured into three main sections. First, we will explore research strategies, including experiments, surveys, case studies, ethnography, grounded theory, action research, phenomenology, simulation, and mathematical proof. These strategies provide different approaches to conducting research based on the nature of the study and its objectives. Next, we will cover data collection methods, such as questionnaires, interviews, focus groups, observations, and documents. These methods define how information is gathered to support research findings. Finally, we will discuss data analysis, focusing on quantitative and qualitative techniques that help researchers interpret and make sense of collected data. By the end of this lecture, you will understand how research strategies and methods contribute to structured, credible, and meaningful research outcomes. A research strategy is the overall plan for conducting a study, guiding the researcher in planning, executing, and monitoring the research process. While the strategy provides high-level direction, it must be supported by research methods, which specify how data will be collected and analyzed, such as through interviews, questionnaires, or statistical techniques. Choosing the right research strategy depends on three key questions. First, is it suitable for the research question? A strategy should help answer the specific problem being investigated. For instance, an experiment is effective for testing causal relationships, whereas grounded theory is better for exploring new topics. Case studies are useful for studying complex social interactions, but they are less suitable for measuring attitudes in a large population. Second, is the strategy feasible given the resources available? Some research methods require access to people, documents, or specialized tools, which may not always be available. Certain strategies, such as action research, are also time-consuming, making them impractical for small-scale studies. Third, is the strategy ethically responsible? Research should ensure that no harm comes to people, animals, or the environment. Participants must be informed of their rights, allowed to remain anonymous, and given the option to withdraw at any time. Data collected must remain confidential and used only for the purpose of the study. Next, different empirical research strategies will be discussed, along with an overview of simulation and mathematical proof in research. An experiment is an empirical study that examines cause and effect relationships by manipulating an independent variable and observing its impact on a dependent variable. The goal is to support or challenge a hypothesis, such as whether solar radiation increases skin diseases or workflow systems improve productivity. However, experiments cannot prove causality with certainty, as external factors may influence outcomes. To minimize interference, researchers use techniques like elimination, which excludes confounding factors, holding variables constant, random selection for unbiased sampling, and control groups, which compare treated and untreated participants. Experiments are conducted in laboratories or real-world settings. Laboratory experiments offer high internal validity by precisely controlling variables, but may lack real-world applicability, leading to low external validity. Field experiments, conducted in natural environments, provide greater real-world relevance, but less control over influencing factors. Natural experiments differ in that researchers do not manipulate variables, but observe naturally occurring changes, such as comparing skin disease rates in sunny versus cloudy regions. The trade-off between laboratory and field experiments is defined by internal and external validity. Laboratory experiments control external factors, ensuring strong internal validity, but may not generalize well to real life. Field experiments have higher external validity, making them more applicable to real-world situations, but suffer from lower internal validity due to uncontrolled influences. Despite these challenges, experiments remain a key research method in science, medicine, and social research, providing structured approaches to understanding causal relationships with precision and reliability. A survey is a research strategy that collects data from a large group to provide a broad overview of a topic. Common in social sciences, market research, and public opinion polls, surveys gather insights on activities, beliefs, and attitudes. They are ideal for well-defined topics, but less suited for exploring complex emotions. Surveys can be postal, telephone, internet, or face-to-face. While online and postal surveys suffer from low response rates, face-to-face surveys improve participation. Some rely on observations, while others use documents, for example, news articles or social media data. Since studying an entire population is impractical, surveys use sampling. Representative samples ensure generalizability, while exploratory samples focus on insightful participants. Random sampling is ideal for representativity, while purposive and snowball sampling targets specific expertise. Surveys collect large-scale data quickly and affordably, supporting both quantitative and qualitative analysis. However, low response rates and superficial answers can limit depth. Despite challenges, surveys remain a powerful tool for capturing public opinions, behaviors, and trends. A case study is a research strategy that provides in-depth analysis of a single instance of a phenomenon, allowing for detailed exploration of complexity, relationships, and processes within its real-world context. Unlike surveys that provide a broad but shallow view, or experiments that eliminate external factors, case studies embrace complexity to gain rich insights into a particular case. A case study typically focuses on one instance, such as a person, organization, project, IT system, or policy, but may also involve a small number of instances. The case is studied in its natural setting, considering all interactions and environmental factors rather than isolating it in a controlled laboratory environment. To ensure depth and reliability, case studies rely on multiple data sources and methods, including interviews, observations, and document analysis. Case studies serve different research purposes. Exploratory case studies help generate research questions and hypotheses, particularly in new or underexplored areas. Descriptive case studies provide a detailed portrayal of a case and its surroundings. Explanatory case studies go further by analyzing cause and effect relationships to explain why certain events occur. Selecting a case for study depends on the research question. A researcher may choose a typical case to produce generalizable findings, an extreme case to highlight unique characteristics, or a testbed case to evaluate existing theories. Sometimes, convenience and accessibility influence case selection. A common criticism of case studies is their limited generalizability. Findings often apply only to the studied instance. To address this, researchers must clarify how representative the case is within its broader context. For example, a study on a small retail business may be generalizable to other small businesses in the same industry, but not to larger corporations or different sectors. Despite challenges, case studies remain a powerful tool for deeply understanding complex phenomena, making them valuable in fields like business, IT, education, and social sciences. Ethnography is a research strategy focused on describing people, cultures, and social groups. It originates from anthropology, where researchers immerse themselves in foreign communities to understand their way of life. Modern ethnography extends this approach to groups and subcultures in contemporary society, including drug users, religious sects, criminal gangs, homeless individuals, workplaces, and online communities. Ethnographers spend long periods in the field, actively participating in daily life rather than merely observing. They seek to understand the perspectives, beliefs, and interactions of the people they study. Unlike experiments, ethnography does not involve controlled environments, but instead examines real-world settings in an open-ended, holistic manner. This includes studying ordinary activities rather than just special events or ceremonies. Ethnographic research employs multiple data collection methods, such as interviews, observations, and document analysis, which are recorded in extensive field notes. Researchers aim to incorporate social, cultural, religious, political, and economic perspectives, ensuring a comprehensive understanding of the studied group. There are different approaches to ethnography. The holistic school emphasizes immersion and empathy, arguing that researchers must live among the people to truly understand them. However, critics suggest this is unrealistic, as researchers bring preconceptions that shape their interpretations. The semiotic school focuses on symbols, language, and rituals, analyzing how these elements shape cultural meaning. The critical school examines power structures and social hierarchies, uncovering hidden assumptions within a culture, such as gender roles or political authority. A key concern in ethnography is reflexivity, the recognition that researchers cannot be completely objective. Their personal background, culture, and biases influence how they perceive and interpret the group they study. To address this, ethnographers must critically reflect on and disclose their own identity, values, and potential biases in their research. Ethnography also presents challenges. Descriptive accounts may become subjective narratives, making it difficult to develop analytical insights or theories. Ethical concerns, such as privacy and informed consent, also require careful consideration. Despite these challenges, ethnography remains a powerful tool for understanding how people construct meaning, navigate society, and shape their identities. Grounded theory is a research strategy that develops theories through empirical data analysis rather than testing predefined hypotheses. Unlike experiments, it does not start with a theoretical framework, but allows theories to emerge from data. Grounded theory differs from strategies like ethnography, which focus on rich descriptions without necessarily developing theories. Instead of applying a top-down approach, where a researcher begins with a theory and tests it against data, grounded theory follows a bottom-up approach, where theories are built from patterns and relationships found in data. This method is particularly useful in exploratory research, where no established theories exist. It is well suited for small-scale studies since it does not require large amounts of quantitative data. A core principle of grounded theory is open-mindedness. Researchers should not impose existing theories, but let data shape their understanding. While prior knowledge is not discouraged, researchers must remain flexible and avoid preconceptions that could bias their findings. Grounded theory also differs in its sampling approach. Instead of defining a sample at the start, researchers collect and analyze data iteratively, adjusting their focus based on emerging insights. This method, called theoretical sampling, means that researchers select additional data sources based on how they contribute to developing concepts and refining the emerging theory. Data collection continues until theoretical saturation is reached, meaning no new concepts or relationships are found. The analysis process involves coding and categorization. Researchers break data into smaller segments and assign codes that represent themes or concepts. This process, called open coding, organizes raw data into meaningful units. Next, in axial coding, researchers group related codes into categories and explore relationships between them. Finally, selective coding refines the theory by identifying the most significant categories and their interconnections. The result is a structured explanation of the studied phenomenon, grounded in real-world data. One of the biggest challenges of grounded theory is maintaining an open mind throughout the process. Researchers inevitably bring their own experiences and knowledge, which may influence interpretation. While avoiding bias is ideal, completely setting aside prior understanding is difficult. Despite these challenges, grounded theory remains a powerful approach for developing theories directly from data, allowing researchers to gain deep insights into unexplored areas. Action research is a practical, problem-solving research strategy conducted in real-world settings. Unlike traditional research, It not only seeks to generate knowledge, but also aims to improve practices in areas like education, healthcare, and organizational change. Action research is carried out within local practices rather than controlled environments. It involves active practitioner participation, where those involved contribute their knowledge and may even initiate the study. The process follows a cyclical approach, where researchers plan, implement, evaluate, and refine interventions to create meaningful change. Ideally, the research produces both practical improvements and academic contributions. The cyclical process of action research consists of 5 phases. The first phase is diagnosis, where researchers identify and analyze the problem. This is followed by planning, in which strategies for improvement are developed. The intervention phase involves implementing the planned changes, while the evaluation phase assesses the effectiveness of those changes. Finally, in the reflection phase, researchers review findings and decide whether to repeat the cycle for further improvement. In traditional research, practitioners are passive subjects, and findings may be shared but not necessarily applied. In action research, practitioners actively shape both research and practice, ensuring that findings directly impact their work. There are different types of action research. Technical action research focuses on improving efficiency and effectiveness, often from a managerial perspective. Practical action research emphasizes self-reflection and professional development alongside practice improvement. Emancipatory action research goes further by encouraging practitioners to critically evaluate their work, questioning existing structures and goals. Despite its benefits, action research presents certain challenges. Findings may be difficult to generalize beyond the studied setting. Researcher and practitioner bias can impact objectivity, and time constraints may limit practitioner involvement. Despite these challenges, action research remains a powerful tool for real-world problem-solving and meaningful change in professional practices. It allows practitioners to actively engage in research while driving improvements in their own fields. Phenomenology is a research strategy that explores how people perceive and experience the world, including their emotions and lived realities. Unlike studies that establish cause and effect relationships or analyze statistical trends, phenomenology seeks to understand subjective experiences and the meanings individuals attach to them. For example, a phenomenological study on drug addiction does not examine its causes or prevalence, but instead explores what it means to be a drug addict and how it shapes daily life. A central concept in phenomenology is lived experience, referring to how people experience the world directly before analyzing or categorizing it. Social life is viewed as something people actively construct by assigning meaning to their experiences rather than following external structures. To achieve this, researchers must set aside personal biases and assumptions to gain an authentic understanding of participants' perspectives. The primary data collection method is the long, unstructured interview, allowing participants to share experiences freely and researchers to ensure accurate understanding. Phenomenological research produces rich, detailed narratives that offer deep insights into human experiences. However, it is sometimes criticized for lacking scientific rigor and focusing more on description than analysis. While similar to ethnography, phenomenology emphasizes individual meaning and identity over broader social structures. A simulation is an imitation of a real-world process or system over time. Unlike other empirical research strategies that study naturally occurring or controlled environments, simulations recreate reality to analyze, predict, or train for specific scenarios. Simulations are widely used in training, especially when real-world processes are hazardous or costly, such as flight simulations. They are also valuable for analyzing complex systems like weather forecasting. Today, simulations are applied in safety engineering, education, finance, production, and gaming. A computer simulation runs on computers and models the behavior of a system using an underlying abstract model. With advances in computing power, increasingly sophisticated simulations are used in areas such as traffic engineering, climate change analysis, and strategic management. Simulations are not limited to computers. Role-play simulations involve human participants enacting scenarios in controlled environments. A common example is a war game, where military strategies are tested without actual combat. Role-play simulations are also popular in education, offering creative and interactive learning experiences. Simulations provide safe, cost-effective, and controlled environments for studying complex systems, making predictions, and enhancing training across various fields. A mathematical proof is a rigorous deductive argument that establishes the truth of a proposition. It builds upon previously proven propositions and ultimately relies on axioms, which are self-evident or assumed truths. Once a proposition is proven, it is called a theorem. If a proposition is believed to be true but has not yet been proven, it is known as a conjecture. Mathematical proofs typically use logical reasoning, though they may also incorporate informal explanations in natural language. A proof written entirely in symbolic language is called a logical proof or formal proof. Mathematical proofs differ significantly from empirical research in terms of certainty. A proof definitively establishes that a proposition is always true, whereas empirical studies can only provide supportive evidence. Even if numerous empirical studies confirm a proposition, new findings may later contradict it. In contrast, a proven theorem remains true under the given axioms and logical framework. This table provides a summary of key research strategies, including their purpose, key concepts, activities, forms, and concerns. Take some moments to go over it. Key part of any empirical research study is collecting data about the phenomenon under investigation. Researchers use data collection methods to gather relevant information, which can be either quantitative, numerical data, such as the number of lines of code or search results, or qualitative, non-numerical data, such as text, sound, images, or video. 5 of the most widely used data collection methods are questionnaires, interviews, focus groups, observations, and document studies. While some methods are commonly associated with specific research strategies, such as surveys relying on questionnaires and ethnographic studies using observations, researchers are not limited to traditional pairings. Any data collection method can be useful in different research contexts. Although many research projects use a single data collection method, combining multiple methods can improve accuracy and provide a more comprehensive understanding of the phenomenon. For example, a questionnaire can provide broad, quantitative insights, while follow-up interviews can add deeper, qualitative perspectives. Similarly, conducting interviews before designing a questionnaire can help researchers refine the questions they ask. This approach of integrating multiple research methods is known as the mixed methods approach. It enhances research validity by leveraging the strengths of different methods. A closely related concept is triangulation, which involves examining the same phenomenon from multiple perspectives, whether by using different methods, diverse data sources, or even multiple researchers. By carefully selecting and combining data collection methods, researchers can enhance the reliability and depth of their findings, leading to a more well-rounded understanding of their research topic. A questionnaire is a written document containing a list of questions designed to collect data from multiple respondents. It is commonly used for gathering straightforward and unambiguous information, such as demographic details, opinions, or consumer preferences. Because questionnaires are inexpensive to distribute, they are particularly useful for reaching a large number of people. A typical questionnaire consists of 3 main parts. The background section provides information about the researchers, their sponsors, the purpose of the questionnaire, and ethical considerations such as confidentiality and voluntary participation. The instructions section guides respondents on how to answer the questions, often including examples. Finally, the questions section contains the actual list of numbered questions. There are 2 main types of questions: closed and open-ended questions. Closed questions provide predefined response options, making them quick to answer and easy to analyze statistically. For example, a question like, "What is your marital status?" with answer choices such as single or married is a closed question. However, closed questions may limit nuanced responses. Open-ended questions, on the other hand, allow respondents to answer in their own words. A question like, "What is your opinion on the EU's response to climate change?" requires a detailed answer. While open-ended questions provide richer insights, they are more difficult and time-consuming to analyze. Many questionnaires use both types of questions, closed questions for basic data collection and open-ended ones for deeper insights. To ensure clarity and effectiveness, questions must be carefully formulated. As suggested by Peterson, good questions should be brief, relevant, unambiguous, specific, and objective. They should avoid complex wording, leading questions, and vague phrasing. The order of questions is also important, as earlier questions can influence later responses. Additionally, the total number of questions should be limited to prevent respondents from feeling overwhelmed. Because designing an effective questionnaire can be challenging, researchers often conduct a pilot study before distributing it. In a pilot study, a small group of test respondents completes the questionnaire to identify unclear questions, ambiguous wording, or technical issues. This helps improve the questionnaire before full distribution. Questionnaires can be distributed in various ways. Traditionally, they were sent by mail, but today online questionnaires are the most common, with digital tools assisting in design, distribution, and analysis. One of the main advantages of questionnaires is that they are cost-effective and allow researchers to collect standardized data efficiently. However, there are also challenges. Closed questions may bias responses by limiting answer choices. Additionally, achieving a high response rate can be difficult, as respondents may ignore or decline to participate. Despite these challenges, questionnaires remain a valuable tool for collecting structured data from large groups efficiently and affordably. An interview is a communication session between a researcher and a respondent, where the researcher controls the agenda by asking questions. Unlike questionnaires, which are useful for collecting simple and direct information, interviews are more effective for gathering complex and sensitive insights, such as emotions, attitudes, opinions, and experiences. Interviews are also valuable for accessing privileged information from individuals with deep expertise in a particular domain. Interviews can vary in structure. A structured interview follows a predefined set of questions with fixed response options, making it efficient and easy to analyze. A semi-structured interview also relies on a set of questions, but the order is flexible and respondents can answer in their own words. An unstructured interview is the most open-ended, allowing respondents to speak freely about a topic with minimal guidance from the researcher. While structured interviews are quicker and require less interpretation, semi-structured and unstructured interviews are better suited for exploring complex issues in depth. Several factors can influence the quality of an interview. The personal attributes of the researcher, such as age, gender, and professional background, may impact how comfortable respondents feel, particularly when discussing sensitive topics. The interview setting also matters. Responses may differ depending on whether the interview takes place in an office, a respondent's home, or another location. To enhance the interview process, researchers can use techniques such as prompting, probing, and checking. Prompting encourages respondents to start speaking, probing asks for more details, and checking ensures that the researcher has correctly understood the responses. These techniques help guide the conversation and make the responses as informative as possible. Once the interview is conducted, responses need to be recorded and transcribed for further analysis. Researchers often use both audio or video recordings and field notes, which capture additional nonverbal cues. However, if a respondent refuses to be recorded, the researcher must rely solely on written notes. Interviews offer several advantages. They allow researchers to gather rich, detailed information and typically have a high response rate. However, they also have drawbacks. Conducting, transcribing, and analyzing interviews can be time-consuming. Additionally, the researcher's personal attributes may unintentionally influence the responses, affecting the reliability of the findings. Despite these challenges, interviews remain a powerful tool for exploring topics in depth and obtaining nuanced insights from respondents. Observation is a data collection method where researchers directly observe a phenomenon, providing insights into actual behaviors rather than self-reported actions or thoughts. It can be used in both field and laboratory settings and is often an alternative to questionnaires or interviews. Two main types of observation are systematic observation and participant observation. Systematic observation improves reliability by using predefined observation schedules, ensuring structured and objective data collection. It allows researchers to gather large amounts of data efficiently, but may lead to superficial results by focusing only on observable events rather than their context. Participant observation involves researchers immersing themselves in a group's daily life to gain a deep understanding of their culture and interactions. This method is common in ethnography and allows for rich, context-sensitive insights. However, it relies heavily on the researcher's skills and experiences, which may affect reliability. Additionally, when researchers remain covert, ethical concerns arise due to the lack of informed consent. Despite these challenges, observation remains a valuable research tool, providing unique insights that other data collection methods may overlook. Observation is a data collection method where researchers directly observe a phenomenon, providing insights into actual behaviors rather than self-reported actions or thoughts. It can be used in both field and laboratory settings and is often an alternative to questionnaires or interviews. Two main types of observation are systematic observation and participant observation. Systematic observation improves reliability by using predefined observation schedules, ensuring structured and objective data collection. It allows researchers to gather large amounts of data efficiently, but may lead to superficial results by focusing only on observable events rather than their context. Participant observation involves researchers immersing themselves in a group's daily life to gain a deep understanding of their culture and interactions. This method is common in ethnography and allows for rich, context-sensitive insights. However, it relies heavily on the researcher's skills and experiences, which may affect reliability. Additionally, when researchers remain covert, ethical concerns arise due to the lack of informed consent. Despite these challenges, observation remains a valuable research tool, providing unique insights that other data collection methods may overlook. Documents provide an alternative source of data alongside questionnaires, interviews, and observations. While they often contain text, they can also include photographs, images, audio, or video files. There are several types of documents used in research. Government publications include official statistics, laws, regulations, reports, and public records. Organizational records consist of annual reports, personnel files, sales figures, and meeting minutes. Academic publications refer to journal articles, conference papers, and dissertations. Newspapers and magazines cover daily news, trade press, and industry publications. Personal communications, such as diaries, letters, emails, and text messages, can also be valuable sources. Additionally, social media streams, including blog posts and tweets, provide insights into public discussions and trends. A key concern when using documents for research is credibility, meaning determining whether they are authentic, accurate, and free from bias. Government publications are often considered reliable, but some official reports may be influenced by political agendas. Academic publications, especially those in peer-reviewed journals, are generally trustworthy. However, sources like opinion pieces or Wikipedia may lack credibility due to potential bias or user-generated content. Using documents as a data source allows researchers to collect large amounts of data quickly and cost-effectively. Publicly available documents also minimize ethical concerns. However, assessing credibility remains a challenge, requiring careful evaluation of the author's intent and possible biases. Data analysis derives valuable information from data in order to describe or explain some phenomenon under investigation. Raw data do not speak for themselves. They need to be prepared, interpreted, analyzed, and presented before any conclusions can be drawn from them. Thus, a researcher needs to transform large volumes of data into manageable and meaningful pieces of information. There are two main types of data analysis: quantitative data, which deals with numerical values, statistical measurements, and structured data, and qualitative data, which focuses on non-numerical insights, such as expert interviews, observations, and textual analysis. Both approaches provide valuable perspectives for research, depending on the study's objectives. We're going to explore some of the main approaches used to analyze these data types. Quantitative data can be categorized based on how they can be manipulated mathematically. There are four main types: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio data. Nominal data, also known as categorical data, represent categories with no inherent numerical value. For example, marital status can be coded as 1 for single, 2 for married, and 3 for cohabiting. However, these numbers are just labels. They cannot be ordered or used in calculations like averages or medians. They are primarily used to represent frequencies. Ordinal data, or ranked data, also represent categories, but in this case, the categories have a meaningful order. For example, when rating a product's attractiveness, a scale might be used. 1 for completely dislikes, 2 for dislikes, 3 for neutral, for 4 likes, and 5 for completely likes. While it is meaningful to say that 5 is higher than 4, it is not meaningful to say that 4 is twice as high as 2, because the difference between values is not necessarily consistent. Interval data share the ordered nature of ordinal data but have equal intervals between values, making addition and subtraction meaningful. A common example is calendar year. The difference between 2030 and 2025 is the same as the difference between 2025 and 2020. However, interval data lack a true zero, meaning multiplication and division are not meaningful. And ratio data are similar to interval data but include a true zero, allowing for all mathematical operations, including multiplication and division. Common examples include age, height, and income. For instance, someone earning 6,000 euros makes twice as much as someone earning 3,000 euros, which would not be meaningful with interval data. Each type of quantitative data determines which mathematical and statistical operations are possible, making it essential to understand their differences when analyzing data. Descriptive statistics is used to summarize and describe a dataset in a quantitative way. Unlike inferential statistics, which aims to make generalizations about a population, descriptive statistics focuses only on the given dataset, without drawing broader conclusions. One fundamental way to present descriptive statistics is through tables and charts. Tables provide detailed data, but can sometimes be overwhelming to interpret, while charts offer a more visual and accessible representation of the data. There are several common types of charts. Bar charts are useful for displaying frequencies of different categories. Pie charts are ideal for showing proportions within a dataset. And line graphs are effective for illustrating trends over time. In addition to visual representations, data can also be summarized using aggregate measures. The mean, also known as the average, is calculated by summing all values and dividing by the total number of values. However, the mean is sensitive to outliers, which can significantly impact the result. The median is the middle value when data is arranged from smallest to largest, and unlike the mean, it is less affected by extreme values. The mode refers to the most frequently occurring value in the dataset. The range represents the difference between the highest and lowest values, and like the mean, it is sensitive to outliers. Finally, the standard deviation measures how much the data values vary from the mean, where a higher standard deviation indicates greater variability in the dataset. By combining tables, charts, and aggregate measures, researchers can effectively summarize, interpret, and communicate data, making patterns and trends easier to understand. Inferential statistics aims to reach conclusions that extend beyond a single data sample, e.g., whether there is a relationship between two variables or whether a difference exists between two populations. Thus, inferential statistics is used for making inferences from collected data to more general conditions. It is often interesting to investigate whether a relationship exists between two variables, e.g., whether income and education level are related to each other. A common technique for determining the strength of a link between two variables is to compute the correlation coefficient. A correlation coefficient is a value between -1 and +1, in which a positive or negative value means that there is a positive or negative relationship between the two variables, and a value close to +1 or -1 means that there is a strong correlation, while 0 means there is no correlation. However, even if there is a strong correlation between two variables in a data sample, this does not mean that there is a correlation between the variables in the population from which the sample was taken. Maybe the sample was unrepresentative, so the apparent relationship was just down to chance. In order to determine whether two variables are associated to a significant level, various statistical techniques have been developed, one of these being the chi-square test. Another question that often arises is whether there is any significant difference between two populations, e.g., whether people on a certain diet are healthier than others. When comparing samples from the two populations, there is a risk that a difference between them is due to chance. In order to find out if identified differences in the samples can be generalized to the populations, there are tests such as the t-test. Qualitative data analysis focuses on non-numerical data, including text, audio, images, and videos. Unlike quantitative data, which measures phenomena, qualitative data describes and characterizes them. Large amounts of qualitative data can be generated through unstructured interviews, but any data collection method can produce qualitative data. For example, open-ended questions in a questionnaire result in text that requires analysis. According to Denscombe, qualitative data analysis has several key characteristics. Iterative process. Data collection and analysis often happen simultaneously, influencing each other in an ongoing cycle. Inductive approach. Analysis moves from specific observations to broader generalizations. By examining individual cases, researchers develop overarching insights. Researcher-centered. The researcher's background, values, and experiences play a crucial role in shaping the interpretation of data. There are several approaches to qualitative data analysis, with three of the most common being content analysis, grounded theory, and discourse analysis. Content analysis is used to quantify the contents of a text or other qualitative data. The idea is to classify elements of the text into categories and then calculate the frequencies of the elements in each category. Content analysis is carried out in 6 activities. 1. Choose a sample of texts. The criterion for including texts in the sample should be made explicit. 2. Break the text down into units. The units may be individual words, sentences, or even entire paragraphs. 3. Develop categories for analysis. The categories should be selected so that they are relevant to the research question being addressed. For example, if the research question is about investigating the main themes in the speeches by American politicians, possible categories include healthcare reform, Russia, terrorism, polarization, and unemployment. 4. Code the units according to the categories. The units identified in Activity 2 are coded using the categories from Activity 3. Thus each unit is assigned to one or more of the categories. 5. Count the frequency of the units for each category. For each category, the number of units is calculated. 6. Analyze the text in terms of the frequencies. Study and compare the frequencies from Activity 5 in order to further analyze the texts. For example, the trends and interest for various political themes may be investigated. One of the strengths of content analysis is that the process is clear and simple, which means that reliability will be high. That is, different researchers will come to essentially the same results. A weakness of the approach is that it is quite insensitive to context, as only individual units are analyzed. The relationships between the units and the intentions of the writer are not taken into account. Thus, content analysis is primarily useful for studying fairly uncomplicated aspects of a text. Grounded theory can be used both as a research strategy, as discussed earlier in this lecture, and as a method for qualitative data analysis. When applied to data analysis, it follows the same coding principles. The process begins with open coding, where the researcher categorizes text units, such as words, sentences, or paragraphs. These codes are then grouped and connected through axial coding, which identifies relationships between them. Finally, in selective coding, the researcher determines the most significant codes and categories, as well as their interconnections. A key difference between grounded theory and content analysis is that grounded theory does not rely on predefined codes. Instead, codes emerge organically from the researcher's engagement with the text. Without being constrained by pre-existing theories, the researcher maintains an open mind, allowing the data itself to shape the coding process. While content analysis focuses on explicit statements in a text, discourse analysis explores implicit and hidden meanings. It assumes that meaning is not on the surface. Words gain significance within a broader context, including the author's intentions and underlying assumptions. Researchers must consider this context, particularly the author's purpose and intended effects. A text is not just a reflection of reality. It helps shape and sustain it. The researcher's task is to deconstruct the text, uncover hidden meanings, and analyze its cultural messages. Unlike grounded theory, which avoids prior assumptions, discourse analysis encourages using theories to interpret implicit meanings. Theoretical frameworks serve as tools to reveal deeper layers of meaning. Discourse analysis is often criticized for being subjective, as it relies on the researcher's perspective and theoretical stance. However, this subjectivity can be mitigated by making the researcher's assumptions and reasoning explicit. This figure illustrates the relationships between research strategies, data collection methods, and data analysis methods. The figure can be read from top to bottom as a simple guide to the initial decisions that need to be made in a research project. First, the researcher will select one or more research strategies to be applied. For each research strategy, she will select one or more data collection methods to use, as well as one or more data analysis methods. In practice, these decisions may not be as serial as suggested here, but instead will develop in iterations over the entire research project. Within a single design science project, several different research strategies and methods can be used in the different activities. A concrete example is a researcher developing a method for designing business process models, where the method itself is the artifact. In order to gather requirements for the method, the researcher chooses a survey as one of the research strategies in the project and seeks input from experts in business process management. To collect information from these experts, she conducts interviews as a data collection method, and to analyze the gathered interview data, she applies content analysis, a qualitative method. In addition to requirements elicitation, she also decides to evaluate the method. For this purpose, she selects an experiment as the research strategy and sets up a situation where students and experienced process designers are asked to use the method. The researcher observes their behavior as they use the method, records their results as another data collection method, and later analyzes the data using statistical methods based on a quantitative approach. As illustrated by the above example, design science is not yet another research strategy or method. Instead, different research strategies and methods can be used within the same design science project. The purpose of research is to create reliable and useful knowledge based on empirical evidence and logical arguments. Established research strategies and methods help support this process. A research strategy is an overall plan for conducting a study, guiding researchers in planning, execution, and monitoring. It must be complemented by research methods that guide data collection and analysis. A research method focuses on how to collect and analyze data. Some established empirical research strategies include experiment, which investigates cause and effect relationships; survey, which maps out some physical or social world; case study, which investigates an instance of a phenomenon in depth; ethnography, which aims to understand groups and cultures; grounded theory, which develops theories through analyzing empirical data; action research, which addresses problems practitioners experience through collaboration; phenomenology, which describes and understands the lived experiences of people. A non-empirical research strategy is simulation, which imitates real-world processes over time. Some established data collection methods are questionnaire, which gathers facts and opinions through written questions; interview, a structured conversation between researcher and respondent; focus group, a group discussion on a specific topic; observation, a method where researchers study behaviors directly; documents, where existing records serve as data sources. Data analysis can be classified into quantitative data analysis, which analyzes numerical data; qualitative data analysis, which analyzes non-numerical data such as words, images, and videos. Quantitative data analysis includes descriptive statistics, used to describe a given data sample; inferential statistics, used to make generalizations from a sample to a larger population. Some qualitative data analysis methods are content analysis, which quantifies the contents of texts or qualitative data. Grounded theory, which develops theories from data without predefined codes. Discourse analysis, which explores the hidden meanings and cultural messages within a text.